This week on We Economy on True Talk Radio 98.5 FM, we discuss prices are stable, but the Sierra Leone economy still feels broken. What's going on? Despite stable prices and easing inflation, many Sierra Leoneans still feel the economy is struggling. Recent Afrobarometer data shows that while citizens credit the government for controlling prices, most believe the country's economic direction is negative. This suggests a disconnect between official figures and everyday experiences. Join the discussion this Sunday at 7 p.m. as we feature Victor Abdullahi, Deputy Director, Industrial Development, Head for Trade, Industrial Data and Statistics, Ministry of Trade and Industry; Charlie Hughes, Consultant Technical Advisor at Institute for Governance Reform. You can listen to this conversation by tuning in to True Talk Radio in Freetown, 98.5 FM, and on All Out Radio in Bo, 92.9 FM, on Amza Radio in Makeni, 96.9 FM, and Voice of the East in Kenema, 88.9 FM. True Talk, get the fact, get True Talk. Good evening and welcome to Weekly News Update on True Talk Radio 98.5 FM with me, Maria Makalmamara. The Chief Minister, David Moyi Nasenge, will talk about globalization and access to European markets, global credit rating system, and fair treatment for access to the finance market. He will talk this at the 4th International Conference High-Level Meeting in Seville, Spain.
The last decade has taught us hard lessons. The assumption that international capital will naturally flow to developing countries for development has proven flawed. In the drive to finance large-scale infrastructure and economic transformation, many of us overlooked the strategic value of mobilizing and managing domestic capital, the urgent reform of global financial architecture, and debt management. We acknowledge that yes, investors seek certainty, yet too often the risks they perceive in our markets are exaggerated and amplified by global credit rating agencies whose assessments frequently fail to reflect our reform trajectories and economic fundamentals. The statistics are sobering. According to the IMF, sub-Saharan African nations paid an average of 155 basis points more than their peers when accessing Eurobond markets between 2014 and 2021. That premium is not just a data point. It is the price of inequality. It is the cost of outdated narratives and institutional asymmetry, which lead African countries into more debt. And it is unfair. The implication is a real and painful constraint on our capacity to build more schools, power more hospitals, provide clean water, and meet our sustainable development goals for our citizens. In that spirit, allow me to offer 3 key recommendations. First, we must restore credibility and fairness in the global credit rating system. The establishment of the African Credit Rating Agency is a welcome and long overdue response to systemic bias. We must all commit to supporting and strengthening it. Second, we must redefine liquidity metrics and adopt broader criteria that reflect emerging regional realities. As Africa advances the African Continental Free Trade Area, we are already witnessing increased inter-African trade and improved fiscal coordination. We need metrics that recognize these gains and promote confidence rather than distortion. Third, we must build lasting institutional capacity to manage public debt responsibly. Under the leadership of His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio and with support from the World Bank and IMF, Sierra Leone is implementing a public debt management strategy within a wider public debt financial management architecture.
Minister of Finance does secure $300 million investment for build mine, transport network, and processing center for Tonkolili North Iron Ore Project on Tuesday, 1st July 2025, in Beijing, China. Then finalized the earlier agreement within signed September 2024. This new agreement will help Salone use the mineral dam for develop the country. Under this agreement, COVEG will provide up to $300 million for mine construction, build transport network, and beneficiation facilities. This money arrangement will come under APC contract and joint venture agreement. After the signing, Honorable Minister of Finance, Sheikh Ahmed Fantamari Bangura, winner chairman for the Mineral Mineral Wealth Fund, Salon, say these agreements na big change for the country. They say COVEC in support go help ensure say the mineral then benefits the people through work, road and development, all under the Mines and Mineral Development and Management Corporation. On Wednesday, 1st July 2025, Ministry of Energy and Car Powership don't agree for extend contract and increase light supply. The Ministry of Energy, through Electricity Distribution and Supply Authority, EDSA, one informed the general public say they don't reach agreements with Car Powership for increased light supply and extend the contract to 1 more year. Car Powership don't agree for increase the power supply to the normal 25 megawatts during the rainy season and 45 megawatts during dry season. Parliament does swear in Honorable Abu Bakar Fofana as new Member of Parliament for Kenema District on Thursday, 3rd July 2025. This happened after the former Member of Parliament, Honorable Musa Peter Moigwa, died inside May this year. The Speaker of Parliament, retired Honorable Sengepo Solomon Thomas, announced the Electoral Commission confirmed Honorable Fofana as duly elected MP, Member of Parliament. The oath be administered by the Deputy Clerk of Parliament. After the swearing-in, the Speaker welcomed the new Member of Parliament and encouraged him for attend sittings regularly, work hard and live up to the oath when don't take.
Honorable members, with your leave, I want to move on with the administration of the oath. Muslim, a Christian, Muslim. So when I say I, you specify your name, and then subsequently you repeat after me. I, Honorable Honor, having been elected a Member of Parliament, do hereby, in the name of Allah, swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Sierra Leone, as by law established, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of Sierra Leone, and that I will faithfully and conscientiously discharge the duties of a Member of Parliament. So help me God.
On Friday, 4th July 2025, President Julius Malabio don commission the Matu Senegal Bridge na Matu John, Bont District. This bridge na 1 out of 4 where government don build across the country for make people and goods dem move easy. The Matu Senegal Bridge na big support to the Feed Salon project, as governments don ready for change all the hand ferry crossing them to modern bridge them. This go help farmers get easy and quick access to market, connect community them, and reduce the risk of accident from boat crossing. This project na the Ministry of Agriculture do am through the Smallholder Commercialization and Agribusiness Development Project.
Over 20,000 people, including many of us right here, including my very self. Now, mothers will reach clinics faster, students will get to school safely. Traders, as we heard from our beautiful lady, we easily carry their goods, and our hard-working farmers who are all here from Jong to Bendu, from Timu to Pandakemo and Boom, will finally reach new markets and get better prices for their rice, cassava, and palm oil, fish included. This new bridge will also reduce travel time and transport costs. But more than that, it restores dignity and delivers hope. Ladies and gentlemen, hard infrastructure development is not just about cement and iron rods. It's about lifting people out of poverty. Because as a human development capital government, people are at the heart of everything that we do.
Now all this we get inside the National Week News Update. So till next time, me and my Makal Mamara, stay tuned to Top Radio 98.5 FM. This week on We Economy on True Talk Radio 98.5 FM, we discuss prices are stable, but the Sierra Leone economy still feels broken. What's going on? Despite stable prices and easing inflation, many Sierra Leoneans still feel the economy is struggling. Recent Afrobarometer data shows that while citizens credit the government for controlling prices, most believe the country's economic direction is negative. These suggest a disconnect between official figures and everyday experiences. Join the discussion this Sunday at 7 p.m. as we feature Victor Abdullahi, Deputy Director, Industrial Development, Head for Trade, Industrial Data and Statistics, Ministry of Trade and Industry, Charlie Hughes, Consultant Technical Advisor at Institute for Governance Reform. You can listen to this conversation by tuning in to True Talk Radio in Freetown, 98.5 FM, and on All Out Radio in Bo, 92.9 FM, on Amza Radio in Makeni, 96.9 FM, and Voice of the East in Kenema, 88.9 FM. True Talk, get the fact, get True Talk.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of We Economy. We come to you on True Talk Radio 98.5 FM and we partners them inside Bo and Kenema and Makeni. For today we get a very interesting topic where we talk about. I mean, for Fambulem we actually been known to follow the economy of Sierra Leone. We notice from where the Russia-Ukraine war started in 2022, prices them begin go up. At the initial start, now fuel price go up, and when the fuel price go up, it begin affect every other commodity within the market, and for every add with them in the adding the fuel price of Sierra Leone, and them in the blame them on the hiking in the prices of international food markets them and hiking the prices of international food stuff them as well as other commodities them at the international market, and then in the talk saying I don't think they particularly cool down come inside Sierra Leone. And 3 years after the war, we still notice we get the same challenges, even though inflation don't go down. Waiting actually they keep prices them up now, and they make things difficult for the ordinary Sierra Leonean. Even though the inflation will originally lead to this entire saga, don't they go down? For talk about that, I get two personalities with me inside the studio today. We will come bring their own perspective them on waiting and think on the current issue. On the one hand, I get the Deputy Director of Industrial Development, where I go and let Enforce introduce himself and tell we waiting if they in work there about and introduce himself to Fambole.
Okay, good evening, listeners. Me now Victor Abdullahi. I'm Deputy Director for Industrial Development. I'm also the head of Trade, Industrial Data and Statistics. So, my role in the ministry now for ensure that the policy process, getting industrial development moving, identify potentials within the sector, and move that we develop as a country, the manufacturing sector especially, where for the next few years we attention really day on them, and also get responsibility for ensure that we data and statistics, because as trade and industry partner with we work with a lot of other institutions, so are responsible for the other position they ensure that we mobilize them data so that we go use them for informed decision and policy making.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Victor Abdullahi. Also, we don't get somebody from the government sector. We just don't introduce himself, but we want a balanced perspective. We want to hear from somebody now. We know the inside government, and we go able to provide we an independent view away from within government actually they do. For sake of that, we get Mr. Charlie with the inside the studio with me, and I go on and introduce himself to Una Fambulem and the work they do.
Thank you, Mr. Kamara. Generally, me governance and development consultant. I get like over 20 years at the field. They do consultancy work for different institutions, universities, NGOs, government, around governance, elections, local government, economy, and then kind of thing. And currently, I'm a consultant technical advisor with the Institute for Governance Reform, where I do backstopping na all the areas them way IGR they work on. You know, say IGR a think tank. So so they provide support on the different aspects of their work. Yeah.
What you mean by think tank for Fambul? What they do?
Think tank na organization where they work where not for profit, where what man call non-profit,
Okay.
where then they for look society in problem them
Okay.
and see how why the problem they occur, how it they occur, and how likely that problem they go be solved. So then they work for solve social problems. So the work within the pool na do the what we call the output. If na reports them green cam, anybody can use them. Businessmen can use them, government can use them, politicians can use them because then they sit down and think, say this thing where they go so if we na address and this kind way, now this change this one I go bring come. Now that think tank mean, but generally then they work na non-for-profit organization then just like any other NGO, but then the head then they use for think for solve problem.
All right, thank you very much. So we don't hear from Mr. Abdullah and we don't hear from Mr. Charlie on the work them with them they do. So Fambulem, this not a new topic to me. The ordinary Sierra Leonean concerned very much about this particular topic here today as much as in concern about electricity, because after a light business, the next thing way important to Fambulem now that bread and butter issue, and if prices them they go up for certain commodities, them the ordinary mami within food up budget, you know go happy because you know say where you gonna market they meet prices them they up and you know we able for affording daily bread. And for understand this, Mr. Abdullah in institution been actually carry out a market research for understand the processes involved in developing pricing formula them for various commodities them at the market. Quickly, we want for your reports that research day from before we move in further into the work we want for talk about today.
Okay, thank you so much. Firstly, this was a process we do for we get a feel and understanding of waiting they happen. You know, because the markets are very dynamic and sometimes it can be a complex environment. You know, within the public sector and you get the private sector, where the players then the businesses want for make profits, they want for maximize profits. On the government side, we think to say, okay, we want to let people in lives better off. We want to let people in welfare, let them for afford certain commodities. So we started off having this research, a short, snappy one for understanding interface with the importers them, for instance, the private sector players them. And waiting we be the look at now for understand one, waiting at them cost drivers them. Say for instance, we want for bring for instance rice from India. Say it come na salon, na port, say it reach na the warehouse. The processes, the cost, you know, all what it will cost for move one bag from that point to this point. And also understand the various components of the economy. I mean, we get we policies them like the fiscal policy. We for us, for instance, now 5%, you know, on import duty and all other related charges where they are along the chain. Understand the external environment, waiting a cost for bringing them from the supplier to we port. Reach na port, get it cleared with all the necessary costs and moving go na the warehouses. So you get the institutional cost or the government cost, or also get the private cost component. So we get some facts and we engage them also, the importers them, call them to a meeting. This is what we have got, and get negotiations, we talk. Okay, so the private cost components then, well, now they really we understand how the businesses, you know, they charge, you know, even though we find out so the private cost them, they're not as big, they're not, they take too much weight, right, as the other cost components. But however, we were able to engage them. Then we get several in-house reviews. Then we will get a final validation with all other stakeholders, the Ministry of Transport, Marine Resources, people at the port, you know, and a few ministers then will be involved. And the Chief Minister and the first negotiation, I mean, chaired that meeting day, and co-chaired by the Minister of Trade and Industry. So we'll be able to reach at a position successfully negotiated, and then we roll out the pricing formula for rice.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdullahi, for that wonderful insights that we provide to we on how the process is involved in developing pricing formula. So let we start first with let we come to the questions them now. Let we start the discussion with the area economists them. They say what in economists them mean, Mr. Charlie, where they say inflation they is, but we still see say price they know they drop. What in and they mean?
Well, if we talk in the context of Salone right now, Dan did not go paint the right picture, because for Musa Asid also, me not say with the work way the ministry do around them for talk with the importers and for fix the price for certain strategic commodities. Me not say one thing wouldn't succeed now for stabilize the price. So you get products away now, because I don't want to talk in theory. Let me can talk in the context of what's they happen now, not within, yes, right. So from the same way, then do them pricing formula around strategic political commodities. You sabi them, you know, say cement, rice, petrol. We call them no government of the sidom price go out of hand. So you could probably agree with me, say from when they put on now one day, the price it don't stabilize, and in fact, the price don't even count down right now at the petroleum sector. Then depends something like price war. This is a effect for put and down. This is a effect for put and down. This is a effect for put and down. Up like yesterday, safe rest price. They announced one company called Traceway don't drop the price down back to 650 leones for bag. Okay. So if now in the context of Sierra Leone, the pricing formula it don't work not only for stabilize, but also it don't help now for reduce the price for plenty strategic commodities. Then. So the question really way, and as seen from the flyer, now we then say, how come people and say inflation they drop, but price, people no.
What
but
do we mean now
no.
by that? Okay, give me a perspective on what do we mean by way inflation actually there is. What do you mean? Is it that prices them not they go up again or prices then they drop?
No, the value inflation it just explain the value of the leone to critical currencies. Okay. So Salone the leone it don't largely stabilize. It not mean say it not they go up small. So you go change money 2,340 and next week it go back by 341, 342. It not mean say the upward trend not continue, but the percentage drop it don't come into what they call single digit. First and waiting, then they go up where price the leone they value. And by then 30% today they change leone 230. Next tomorrow they say 245. The other day they don't reach 250. So now that they mean by inflation they relate more on the to the value of a currency. But the expectation by economics is that where you money the value increase or when the inflation rates they drop, then the price is then certain for the drop, because once you money on the value, then the prices then back they go up. So now these people and say now they see it. How come the leone in value don't stabilize? You know, it don't come even if we inflation they happen now small, but then we'll not see the price and drop it drastically.
So the recently on our institution IGR been released an Afrobarometer data we been they try for understand what's in the citizen and perspective on key functions them inside government. And when you read that data, you see say 36% of the people and we actually respond to on a survey feel say governments don't they keep price stable. Just 36% out of on our entire sample. Now them think that they whose prices them now, whose whose commodities them then they wanna actually feel say governments don't destabilize because they in twofold. One, if just 36% feel say governments they keep prices stable, it means 74% of Sierra Leoneans them not satisfied with the idea of government keeping stability and prices them. So waiting the accounts for them 74% now we make them not really get that assurance there.
Well, first we got for see if governments get for clap because they get 36%. Because if you get baseline, so you watch who say you come out, take and get 36%. So me and you get different way for interpret that figure. You they look the 76% or 74%, we talk otherwise. But if before this Afro barometer, if the previous one now the figures will be much lower, let's say 20%, 15%, then it can be 36%, then government get reason for celebrate. Meaning that while they still get work for do, the small work they don't do, they pay off. So that in a one way, I know in a one way I for interpret that data day. If not being 15%, now you don't come to 36%, then government get reason for gladdy, knowing that still work for do. The 74% we say there's you. I mean, correct.
36% feel say governments only actually keep prices stable.
Yes.
Out of our respondents, them where the 74% now.
Well, na opinion survey. I'm not going able for. I can only guess some of the elements that will come into the consideration. So you weigh in a city. The price way they concern you, not when they concern the person within na Krubola. So that one element and the way they me and you we respond to that same question go different because the elements that they consider then different. So now where would they ask that question? We not get time for go beyond the issues and where they beyond your answer. But where the numbers they don't come out, now government in place for understand because that data they with man column not too disaggregated by rural, by gender and by other waiting and safe. Now government in place for understand this if so let's say government say but prices they don't count number the critical commodities. So rest petrol, iron rod, cement, at least they don't stabilize. So why are they talk so? Now government in place for understand that one day. But like I say, the response could be different. If you're a man, if you're a woman a free tongue, urban woman, if you're a woman sumbuya, the response then definitely will be different.
So who actually been the carry out this survey? Waiting have been the key elements them whose prices them actually been the consider one of the ask from them on the stability level. Is it food, fuel, transport? Waiting on actually
I think so na just na composite question they ask na just one question. Say waiting you think but the prices. Yes, how you satisfy with government work around the price because it go too difficult for the amount of things that we consume in the country a plenty. So you know go ask question, you begin ask for different food item. But assumption good day say most people go like for talk about like when you do household survey, you know, on how well they live. You get thing the way you just get for ask question, but you know the light bill, then water, how much it cost them for it for day, you know, the care for them picking education. So in the along the long huge number of things that more time they consume, you could take few. You ask questions around that, but where I hear then they do this kind of survey, so then just want to let people respond to simple, straightforward questions. And generally, you know, you know the economy. You know, 2 years ago, you know how prices have been there. You know how things have been there. You know, so today, what do you think about prices? So that was the simple question.
All right. So, Famula, if you just join, we actually discuss for talk about inflation at the country and how they correlate with prices. Them, and we get two wonderful personalities inside the studio with we, where they provide them perspectives. One from the civil society aspect, another one at government. In case you want to add your voice to waiting with the talk, we've opened the phone line at 750, and the number we be able for send you text to or call at 072 641 729 072 641 729. We come to Mr. Abdullahi. Una ministry been recently developed a pricing model for basic commodities them like rest. What's gonna be the reason behind una creation of this model here? Would you able to tell family?
Yes, so you know, we get certain commodities where we consider as essential commodities, and they are essential because they impact on our well-being and our welfare, and also because they get security implications. So for instance, a reasonable government, so go sit down, less prices they misbehave, you know, or certain other essential commodities price just to go haywire. So it was against that backdrop, you know, we sit down as a government, as a ministry, and say we have to do something. And we get a minister who is very proactive, and another joke with Denton, and he is very passionate, and we get a very good technical team headed by we chief director, we are the professional head. These are things we're very passionate about. So it was against that backdrop we say, okay, we need to do something. How do we start? It started with engagement, and then we try for model the entire sector. Then we do a market, and today prices of some of these commodities are not only stable, they are dropping. So stability is getting something within a certain threshold. Just say, okay, within year and year, you know, they play it stably. But this one, it's a success because it is even dropping, and partly now because there is competition actively, and there is transparency in the pricing formula. So for now, we are getting there, and the leadership who we get, like I say, is very passionate. Maybe going forward, we might look into some other commodities.
So how this pricing formula model when I don't get, how you take help for keep price system stable?
Well, by and large, it is an engagement process. It is a transparent process. So today, I mean, I can just sit down somewhere as a private sector player, as a businessman, I look, I increase price. Today, I cannot just do that because I have to consult and I have to engage. And also, the justifications we can derive some of the decisions in the external factors, for instance, you know, price go up maybe externally by 10%. People say, okay, let's increase by 15%. Today, the formula, if you go by 10%, would you get the proportionate response internally how, you know, that 10% they wire through. So the net effect, look, you even get for big 10% after I don't filter to all the other cost components then. You know, so it is working, but we again need to understand that it is a formula. A formula not mean to say always things could drop. Because we have a space for keep people's welfare on one hand. We have to keep the business people in business, and we have to protect ourselves as a government. So now we also know that if external factors change, we might see upward movements. It is not like it is going to be down, down, down.
That's an interesting point you mentioned, because I read inside the model say it gets factors that we included in the overall operation, like import cost, like exchange rates, for example. So if let we say dollar go up now inside Sierra Leone, like the exchange rates can go up. What's in and they go mean for the price of a bag of rice inside Makeni or Waterloo?
Okay, so within the formula there is another driver, especially for cost driver, especially for the provinces, the transportation cost, and that was one way. I mean, it really impacts the cost of a bag of rice moving from Freetown or Western area to the provinces. But again, the Minister of Trade and Industry been able to negotiate that one day strongly with the Ministry of Transport, and we reach a favorable position where we mark them up, and then we keep the price at least relatively better than it was months back. The exchange rates, normally exchange rates presently it is stable, between I think 22.6 to 22.6 something, the mid rates. And when exchange rates, when it depreciates, and not me to say because it depreciates, will it come to the formula and can take effect. It doesn't work so. If it depreciates within a certain threshold, where go affect significantly, for instance, the importers then. So it not go change by some insignificant proportion that will come. No, it has to change within a certain threshold where, somewhat disadvantage the importers. Then we will say, okay, we have to sit. We see how much depreciation we wait in them. Put her into the formula, then we get prices. Similarly, so when the exchange rate appreciates, right? We will go back, see how we bring that into the formula and get to prices. So the formula is robust, upward or downward. But the good thing is it is transparent. That transparency there is the critical component. They just do like how you be do. With the consult, we all see them, the figures are there, and it works.
Okay, so many man get this quote with and say Maya Sala Galapilo. You understand? And it just got me wondering. Now external factors they no more actually get role for playing in changing the pricing formula, or internal factors and the ordinary side they think, for example, government policy. If government policy change, if taxes change, you want for
make I just with the civil society, so a good way we understand some government practices here. So we think about they engage with them. We actually know how they think and how they operate. So two things I don't learn from Mr. Abdullah's contribution. You get two assumptions around pricing formula. One, not to government they try for control price to the dissatisfaction of business people, or for just satisfy itself. So you get three people then. Business people, government, and consumer. Government they protect itself because if some goods and if they're scarce or then go bad one, no problem. Government they protect the consumer. Then government they protect the business person. You know how we are this country also. We then get one talk na salon where in area no side. See this market's na head to head. Head to head, you buy 1 million, you profit 1 million.
Yeah.
No, so all over the world, no free market, no they really allow head to head. So basically, government just intervene for say, this not to like say, we layman to say price control. No, not to price control this. This now for let we all sit down because we are the business people and government and the business people because where government and the business people understand waiting it cost for bring one laptop. For let laptop reach na shop na Cambia, where government understand that cost today. Government able for tell the businessman say, well, oh man, we will allow you for let make this profit margin. So this profit margin, it will keep you in business, and then people will afford your laptop, and then we'll all go be happy. So the second assumption is that one, I don't talk about the all man will be satisfied, right? The second one, pricing formula engagement, not to one-off business. So like where they talk about where you didn't power now they make law. No, not really apply.
No, this that's not what I meant.
So this na constant engagement because like even like where Mr. Abdullahi on also, if they pay attention to external factors them where they go affect the importation of them, where they affect the price of that good deal. That commodity they for Larry Makeni, then they pay attention. So anytime when something happen, where they know say like we say we significantly go affect the price, then go able for come inside. Even when them pass the the budget act, or they don't really budget and pass on a parliament, they don't impose new taxes.
Then 2025,
yeah,
new taxes.
Yeah, now I mean, if that didn't happen, anything where they notice inside now, for just to tell you, say, then the government they constantly pay attention to things them when are then they drive, to things them when are private actors then they drive like transporters them, and to things them way now external actors in the drive and then they constantly pay attention to that day. So that means say when that they happen, then they can't sit on back with the Mr. Black if I wrong on that. So the point I have for make people understand, not to like say they don't go sit down, they don't talk for rest now and cement and petrol, so they talk on down. No. Now the mechanism for them engage with them people and they constantly it always they so that businessman don't go behave like they don't go find it way.
Mr. Charlie and Mr. Abdullah, part where we've been the try for bringing out now. We want to understand just whose kind thing then go bring adjustments to pricing models then. We don't mention external factors. We want let Mr. Abdullah tell we if internal factors them they again like taxes, government policies.
Sure.
Now that part we've been the try for bringing out
sure.
And if then kind changes don't be essentially owing to them factors, then they like for example a change in government policy or tax can increase on a particular commodity, we can make they adjust the price model. When are they able to go light? That's what we do.
So there are factors where internally, fiscal policy, for instance, if you get for change next year, say for instance, maybe for now we have a 5% import duty on rice. And that 5% is charged because government is saving that, for invest and with domestic rice production. So government, if for instance it has to increase or it has to decrease, definitely it will reflect on the prices of then commodities where they under that formula. But as always, it is an engagement process. So we go get for Sidom again. We see, for instance, 5%, it how it permeates right through all the cost components. Then we see by how much then price will increase. So when we rolled out this formula in January, we had a ceiling where we've been given a timeline where if it come below 800. Before that period they reach, prices begin for drop considerably, simply because one, there is inflow of information. Two, the engagement process be active. Three, the external environment became favorable. We captured in the formula. So we know it's in the happen out, it is reflected in the formula. We know it's in the happen inside, it's reflected in the formula. So any side we change, it reflects on the final prices. And then we also get a very important component. The exchange rates. We're very, very stable at the moment. Very stable. And so, because it's stable, and that's why for most commodities we see the prices are stable. That small nice series, that small flip-flopping, the marginal change no significant, and so there is no reason for certain prices then just increase. I go there we think that one day. So changes go be driven by significant change in certain parameters. So domestically, yes, there are parameters where if they change, we see that the change significant, then it will reflect in the final units of that commodity.
All right. So come to Mr. Charlie. I actually want to get your opinion, your perspective on a particular something where you've been on the talk, but we don't already know say certain factors then they will actually they lead to adjustments in the pricing model. And one of them you mentioned are import costs. In that case, and you say government actually they try for please aside instead of people, government itself, protect government itself, business owners and consumers. Now I just want to get your opinion in on the perspective of fear. where the fuel price begin go up in the international market starting 2022. Government been know say importation costs don't significantly affect the price where them for can begin sell fuel at domestically in Sierra Leone. At that point, if government actually they protect consumers then and business owners, why it decide for remove the subsidy we actually been decide for keep the prices at bay inside Sierra Leone instead of leaving it there for like a siphon of the importation cost them. What's your perspective on that?
Well, me don't know what have been the fiscal priority would have been get, you know, at that term day. So then get now what they do the public policy now choices that you make. You know, importation costs don't go up. If this are the volume of the subsidy, where I get for keep. If I came for absorb that volume there, till the price stabilize, yes, then you go do them. If you say, you know what, let we take this shock, you know, let us take this shock here, let us spread the shock to the entire population, you know, they go complain small, but then go adjust. So we not go able for know which fiscal priority they get at that time, whether then they be so broke that they're not going able for accommodate that this cost of the subsidy, or they say, you know what, let we make this savings here, let we pass the cost to consumers them, so then we not go able for. But the what's important for we know, let citizens not ever hope for subsidized goods them on the market. You know, not to good economic Sunday. Certain services them like energy, water, where they go directly to human capital development. You can say, I mean, school costs. You can say, okay, we can maintain certain level of subsidy, but thing way pump price, thing way then a shop. Let we know, you know, we not civil society now we they set public expectations. So let we know they talk like say in normal for let government they subsidize petrol, cement and in normal. In fact, now that bring me come to the talk with Mr. Abdullah talk, but how they want for extend this pricing formula to other commodities then.
Okay.
Then you know where I agree with someone say you get commodities them way they're very very strategic. You know, I agree. But once you say you extend to other commodities them, you get to manage public expectation because now they go begin for members say pricing formula for day for all things. Afterwards, when I just want to be the cost and waiting involved for deliver medicine, the cost and waiting involved for deliver spare parts. So once you don't raise public expectation, you know, then go fix say nothing way if it be for all kind goods them. So I don't know which other goods them then get in mind, but we in a society for also talk for the fact saying a free market economy with it. Free market economy, it help everybody. It help government through the taxes where they collect. It help consumers them. So we remember saying I just pricing formula and I help with the prices of rice and petrol, but not to that one day no more. Not to that one day. Actually, government don't open the number of players within the petroleum sector. First time, now like two dominant importers that we get. So when you open the market for other players and come inside, competition itself, it bring price down. It been as an emergency stuff, it been good way and do the pricing formula that applies to everybody. But now we see say competition safe, they make the price stabilize and let the price come down. So me go only say then therefore take them small way, then they raise public expectation, say we can expand this pricing formula per all thing. Look, Yabas price candle, Yabas supply is stable, not because of pricing formula, because one investor decides say, I go change this narrative. This is not way then they plant. Now India are one of the biggest exporters of Yabas in the world. The people where they do now in their money and they say, but we know how this year they work. So the whole investment alone. So I just say the investment alone, it bring calm, it stabilize the supply of Yabas. Now the market, the first thing first what you need, let it available before you're talking about the price. So I just say I don't know what they think, which other commodity they remember. But let we caution say let people not expect say if you go buy shoes now the government for set the price with the importer. Now that no more, I don't know which other markets and then get in their mind.
So let we try for talk about the disconnect now. We already established the fact say inflation on the ease as people in the see, but then the ordinary Sierra Leonean still they wonder, well, why are still they feel the pinch? I mean, when you watch the Afgo Barometer report, about 28% of the Sierra Leoneans said that they actually feel say governments don't they manage the economy well, and about less than 30%, but still they feel say the standard of living good for the ordinary Sierra Leonean. So if we actually don't see inflation decrease, then it brings the perspective of why the ordinary Sierra Leonean still they feel the pinch of the inflation we've been at the very start of the entire issue. So I bring the question to you first, Mr. Charlie. Why make citizens and still they feel say the economy, like we economy still feels broken even though inflation they go down?
Well, Salon day in this cycle of economic trouble for a very long time. From where Ebola came 2014, as we come out inside Ebola, we try for team up 9 COVID came. Yes, so it easy for so if you bring that kind of scenario to the household level. In the shock we don't take the impact on we savings we been get, the impact on we investment we been get, the money we don't eat, waiting where thing we get now also unable for replenish. I like how the price this is then stabilize for only certain goods. I like how they stabilize what in the candle. It's not easy for it quickly turn to benefit for the household. It therefore take time. So then this kind of inflation stability we talk about, so we'll say is steady. We talk about how certain prices they don't because some goods in the way if the price okay. It impacts we livelihood standards. It therefore take them small. Imagine like oh they so then other thing come from back just no back then prices then go up back it affects we now household. So this therefore lasts for some period. Let it allow people and for let them make savings, let them make certain investment then before really we begin for film now we household level. So the figures them when I say the economy they do well, the figures then you go tick the box on the figures then. Yes, inflation, yeah, that's not true. GDP, yeah, that's not true. But at the household level, it got for take them for households then adjust. During that time we had time in day where you use the all long way out. If you get 6 pairs use all long way out, you get for replacement one in day. If you don't go to debt, you get for pay them debt then day. You business where you been get something it don't collapse, you get for rebuild the business. It's not easy for you talk about say so now Danny and they explain the disconnect between the fine figures that they see and the why people talk say when they feel the economy that we didn't host.
All right. So, Famulem, if you still there with me, we they talk about inflation and how they affect prices them inside Sierra Leone currently. We they take a quick break. When we come back, we they continue with the disconnector we they see between the price of inflation. Sorry, with inflation coming down and how it affects the ordinary Sierra Leonean. And at 7:50 we they open the phone line. Now we take a quick break.
This week on We Economy on True Talk Radio 98.5 FM, we discuss prices are stable, but the Sierra Leone economy still feels broken. What's going on? Despite stable prices and easing inflation, many Sierra Leoneans still feel the economy is struggling. Recent Afrobarometer data shows that while citizens credit the government for controlling prices, most believe the country's economic direction is negative. These suggest a disconnect between official figures and everyday experiences. Join the discussion this Sunday at 7 p.m. as we feature Victor Abdullahi, Deputy Director, Industrial Development, Head for Trade, Industrial Data and Statistics, Ministry of Trade and Industry, Charlie Hughes, Consultant Technical Advisor at Institute for Governance Reform. You can listen to this conversation by tuning in to True Talk Radio in Freetown, 98.5 FM, and on All Out Radio in Bo, 92.9 FM, on Amza Radio in Makeni, 96.9 FM, and Voice of the East in Kenema, 88.9 FM. True Talk, get the fact, get True Talk. This week on We Economy on True Talk Radio, 98.5 FM, we discuss prices are stable, but the Sierra Leone economy still feels broken. What's going on? Despite stable prices and easing inflation, many Sierra Leoneans still feel the economy is struggling. Recent Afrobarometer data shows that while citizens credit the government for controlling prices, most believe the country's economic direction is negative. These suggest a disconnect between official figures and everyday experiences. Join the discussion this Sunday at 7 p.m. as we feature Victor Abdullahi, Deputy Director, Industrial Development, Head for Trade, Industrial Data and Statistics, Ministry of Trade and Industry, Charlie Hughes, Consultant Technical Advisor at Institute for Governance Reform. You can listen to this conversation by tuning in to True Talk Radio in Freetown, 98.5 FM, and on All Out Radio in Bo, 92.9 FM, on Amza Radio in Makeni, 96.9 FM, and Voice of the East in Kenema, 88.9 FM. True Talk, get the fact, get True Talk. This week on We Economy on True Talk Radio 98.5 FM, we discuss prices are stable, but the Sierra Leone economy still feels broken. What's going on? Despite stable prices and easing inflation, many Sierra Leoneans still feel the economy is struggling. Recent Afrobarometer data shows that while citizens credit the government for controlling prices, most believe the country's economic direction is negative. These suggest a disconnect between official figures and everyday experiences. Join the discussion this Sunday at 7 p.m. as we feature Victor Abdullahi, Deputy Director, Industrial Development, Head for Trade, Industrial Data and Statistics, Ministry of Trade and Industry, Charlie Hughes, Consultant Technical Advisor at Institute for Governance Reform. You can listen to this conversation by tuning in to True Talk Radio in Freetown, 98.5 FM, and on All Out Radio in Bo, 92.9 FM, on Amza Radio in Makeni, 96.9 FM, and Voice of the East in Kenema, 88.9 FM. True Talk, get the fact, get True Talk. This week on We Economy on True Talk Radio 98.5 FM, we discuss prices are stable, but the Sierra Leone economy still feels broken. What's going on? Despite stable prices and easing inflation, many Sierra Leoneans still feel the economy is struggling. Recent Afrobarometer data shows that while citizens credit the government for controlling prices, most believe the country's economic direction is negative. These suggest a disconnect between official figures and everyday experiences. Join the discussion this Sunday at 7 p.m. as we feature Victor Abdullahi, Deputy Director, Industrial Development, Head for Trade, Industrial Data and Statistics, Ministry of Trade and Industry, Charlie Hughes, Consultant Technical Advisor at Institute for Governance Reform. You can listen to this conversation by tuning in to True Talk Radio in Freetown, 98.5 FM, and on All Out Radio in Bo, 92.9 FM, on Amza Radio in Makeni, 96.9 FM, and Voice of the Eastern Kenema, 88.9 FM. True Talk, get the fact, get True Talk. This week on We Economy on True Talk Radio, 98.5 FM, we discuss prices are stable, but the Sierra Leone economy still feels broken. What's going on? Despite stable prices and easing inflation, many Sierra Leoneans still feel the economy is struggling. Recent Afrobarometer data shows that while citizens credit the government for controlling prices, most believe the country's economic direction is negative. This suggests a all-out radio in Bo, 92.9 FM, on Amza Radio in Makeni, 96.9 FM, and Voice of the Eastern Kenema, 88.9 FM. True Talk, get the fact, get True Talk.
Hi, Fambule Muna, welcome back. If you just join, we actually discuss the inflation, the ease inside Sierra Leone. In 2024, inflation have been about 28%, and then as at now, it don't go to 7% to a single digit. And the ordinary Sierra Leoneans still they feel if these statistics them truly they reflect the situation on the ground inside Sierra Leone. So we want to throw to Mr. Abdullah. What do you think on that the inflation digits them don't reduce to 7% from 28% in 2024. So why make the ordinary Sierra Leone and us now not they truly see these changes them here? What do you think on that?
Before I answer that question, do you kindly permit me make a respond to something we not want for get people let people not feel to say what we did talk about enhancing transparency in pricing through the pricing formula so everything get for candy. Okay. There are a list of commodities we say na essential commodities because they get security implications, okay. Right? And that make where I be the talk, I carefully choose the word we might, and I think I repeat the might 210.
Okay.
Where they tell you say it conditional, yeah. Now inflation on the condom. Now we say with the single digits. I think one thing we critical for no, now that's now the base where they don't use for calculator. There is always a base. But the good thing now that when inflation they come down, they create and there is stability generally in the economy. I mean the macroeconomic conditions favorable. Okay. And the one very important thing, very important in an economy, economic certainty. When there is certainty, you know, say this exchange rate is stable, they move, right? You know, say inflation they drop or is stable. You get certain other economic parameters then. Certainty, they make sure say everybody able for plan himself well. And also, less price, for instance, don't drop by some significant percentage. Some other commodity price they drop. Let me tell you what's they happen. If you buy rice 950, you are now buying 680, 670. You don't make savings. That savings so you make, you can translate for you increase you spending on medical. You go increase spending on some other things the way they affect you. So it is not always that it has a delayed effect. There are certain price drops, they allow you savings for you put your money for other things where they impact you directly. Right? So let me understand that there are two ways where this can happen. It can be immediate, it can be long term. Okay. But the general thing we will agree that everybody wants for buy things at reduced prices.
True.
We all want for buy them that way, right? And waiting will make we buy them then wait and day. Now when we get the capacity. Again, the capacity for buy is altogether another thing. Governments are combra. And they tell you the growing economies, the big economies, the private sector and the lead growth. Gets plenty investments going on, plenty private sector establishments, they are driving the economy. Governments now we not get to the private sector yet to that level we want. So that means to say governments not for the employ people them, governments get for the employ people them. Right? And because government get for the don't be that combrade, the employ people them, and not go able for pay everybody that kind way for pay everybody. But at least if they employ you, you go able for let you live your life. I mean, the average and decently you go able get them. So that small way they get, if prices they come down, you go save for the you put and powder things them.
Exactly.
So in that instance, the impact is almost immediate, right? So that's my perspective on that issue.
Okay, so with the whether they benefit thoroughly from this inflation easing now, what do you think? Whose group of people you feel say actually they benefit from inflation easing? Is it business people then, the civil servants them, and then formal workers them, or another ordinary mami where they go farm the markets and then they can sell them na bomboto market or fishery?
Well, so far inflation they benefit the final consumers them more. Because when they go up, now we they grumble. When they come down, now we they benefit. But generally, this is something we normally everybody in the world want for buying cheap, and anybody you ask, almost everywhere, there always be complaints. People go always complain, even though at times if you look at the figures. So much knocking there for complaint, but just inherent in humans. You know, we get to expectations. I mean, we get to we own where would they think, we own selfish needs. I mean, that with selfish needs, mostly people put it above a general consensus. So we always they behave that way. So I mean, even though we conduct research, people then say this and say, but I'm telling you, once an economic issue, you hardly get the outcomes way no bias, especially with the responses in the you will get fairly good responses. Okay, government is trying now, we are seeing this, but trust me, these are not figures to always, say okay, we are not doing fine. Okay. Things are getting better.
So, Mr. Charlie, I actually want to get your perspective on this. If the wages have not increased, the ordinary Israeli where they go work, if in the money where they receive in the office, the salary not they increase, and we also they see say boku jobs them not they come inside Israeli, because obviously governments they hope say well from waiting Mr. Abdullah say. Na private sector na in they bring jobs in most developed countries them than governments. But I don't mean say governments not for provide jobs them as well inside Sierra Leone. But if they still say jobs not they come too much, depending on the rate of unemployment who they say at the country. You think say fear for say now also inflation no more they able for provide better life conditions and for people then?
Yeah, yes, I mean obviously not to just inflation. So now that I tell you say the answer we get from the Afrobarometer, we don't even get the chance for going at the back end and understand why they say so. Just ask the question and get the answer. It left to government people for explain what they happen, why make them why so talk this kind of way. And like how Mr. Abdullah they say. If the prices then stable and then come down, not to all man they enjoy that situation the same way. If you not get work, pricing come down one mean nothing to you. If you dey work, your salary no increase yet, that pricing come down and it's stable one and the inflation is stable one really not mean much. To you, even where you get fine job, then they pay you well. I make Mr. Blas, he said it's a company economic business. He said you must get biased responses. So as soon as you begin pay somebody, you will pay them 3 million loans for month. You begin pay them 6 million loans for month. In consumption aspiration don't change. So we constantly would remain dissatisfied. You want to go holiday now. First time one go holiday, next thing one go holiday with him Peking, next thing one go holiday with him. So constantly, you know, matter how much them pay or how much the price is them stabilize. You know, if you aspiration not much waiting you they get, you go talk say inflation and drop one no mean nothing to me. If you don't get work, and make remember say no less than 85% of salon workforce that the informal sector in day also then get low wages, wage instability, where some not even get something na all na hand to mouth, you know, then they go drag 85%. So the one that where they really work, where they get stable and decent wages at the formal sector, it's very, very, very small. Now that one in the inflation and price stability or price reduction really means something for them. So we get underlying ailments, and where even where the economy they do well, it is difficult for all man enjoy the benefits the same kind of way.
All right, so we dey open the phone lines now to family them. We go on for contribute them voice. The number for call now 072-641-729 072-641-729. You can call we normal or on WhatsApp, or you send text message to we self. We go read them out. We come to Mr. Abdullah. Mr. Charlie don't mention a very interesting point. Say Sierra Leone, we demand the insatiable. Sierra Leone are not they ever satisfied, because as you begin paying more,
human beings. Well, in general, also just Sierra
okay.
The more you get, the more you ask. You wish you want to. I swear to God, you want G-Wagon. This man, okay. you want G-Wagon.
So with that, would you? It seems as if the ordinary Sierra Leonean they face a silent crisis. In a sense, with the say people that know they starve. Even from all your experience with the inside government, the majority of Sierra Leoneans are not starving. Then they survive. Waiting to happen is then they survive day by day, but without any good progress. Waiting that and tomorrow they come station. They say if you get time for let eat and not go to bed without one whole day, you know, eat nothing compared to countries like Somalia, where then get dire crisis. But do you really feel say you really agree with the point of the silent crisis, or you really feel say from your perspective these numbers what we see now they actually reflect the situation on the ground for Sierra Leoneans?
Well, make her just take the same line, but then make her go a little bit for say inflation they benefits every consumer. I want for believe so, because I'm sorry, reduced when inflation they drop.
Okay.
They benefit everybody. So now let's put this into perspective. Instead people when they work, not the benefits, but me feel say they work. Now let me give you an example. If rice price they drop, I mean to say even the cup price they drop, not so. If sugar price they drop, if my cousin or my nephew can't fend me, I student, I get 100,000. If trading 100,000, they give 10 corporates. Now I go give 15 corporates or more, not so. But if actually in a 10 copy buy, they don't get space with, they don't get some more financial space for they buy additional items.
Okay.
So when prices are dropping, people say for they work, we rely on other people for say dash me. My man, if you get 100,000, you go for drink beer. If beer price they drop, it's got if not 10 no more you drink, they knock 15 no. That's how it works. So at all levels, when inflation they drop, it they affect. Similarly, so if you begin from up, you know, it they reduce your purchasing power. When it is dropping, it increases your purchasing power. You are able to bring in more commodities than your baskets for consume.
So the next question now, this pricing formula won't have been developed. As we see inflation actually they go down to single digits them now. What do you think on that? You feel say it gets for help that ordinary market man with the inside boom more, or you feel say now mainly importers and shop owners and Africans only get for help?
Honestly, even the importers, they are also consumers. But of course, we don't compare them with we final consumers there. I mean, the chain, the purchasing power chain, they are right up there. But it affects everybody. It affects everybody. I mean, they buy less over 900. Now, external factors don't combine, the economic certainty, the exchange rate stable, the pricing formula calm, they don't drop everything. We're all benefiting. So that they, when you buy 900,000, you don't spend almost £1 million on rice. Assuming you are earning now £1 million, you now have some financial space for let you eat that one bag rice. You buy some yabas, buy some this, and remember yabas price have don't drop like waiting. Mr. You say it was as a result of domestic production. So because we don't able for the cultivate we own, Naya. So you able for buy more some yabas, you buy some other things them. It's got in the rest no more you go able only for buy, and that is it. So inflation and benefit where they come down and benefits now one day. It increases your purchasing power.
All right, so we go to the next segment now, and True Talk is not only about. Okay, I think we don't begin get with false caller. Hello, caller. Your name and Musa, you dey call from?
Good evening, True Talk.
Yes, your name and Musa, you dey call from?
Oh, me and Jonathan, I call from based in Seoul.
Okay, Jonathan, waiting are your contribution for today?
Yes, I follow the program. With regards to Mr. Charlie, waiting that civil society man they talk.
Okay.
And the really fact, even if you don't work, and the money way then they pay, the money very very small, especially the way you equal to commodity price at the packet. If I work now and they pay me 2,000 at least, then you buy less, look at the rest, we don't go close to them 7,000 to 8,000 for one cup. Imagine just a single cup. Yeah, yes, then for just one bag, you get them close to one something, they pay me 1,000. So really know the economy then with wages how it go. Because if the price of income commodities go up, at least wages and follow the increase.
Okay.
But salary only counts to receive prices and they go up, but wages, salaries then they don't. So I really concerned. Government in and out, coming, going are just the same. And the country this way price go up, Alexa price go down at the trade market is still there. We really don't know what thing the government really do.
All right, scholar.
This way the need for puts, because if the price don't go as like for fear now, so we don't get no release from PIA or whatsoever. Not only the dealers and we see they know the.
Thank you very much, caller. So I think I did throw this one to I did make an opinion there to owner. Actually, if it's guy for talk and we are UAT talk, is it that prices them they go up, but their wages them they go up? Waiting government for the doing then situation them. Is it that government for go the salary back as prices then they go up? Is it something where government for they do?
Okay, so government is always challenged.
Okay.
One, we need to understand say 80 or more percent of we businesses and they operate informally. We mean to say we know they get enough revenue. They are untaxable. And when you do business, some amount they way you need for contribute to government, because government they provide the enabling environment for you. So governments they miss out on a huge size of tax, and then tax the governments they use for on the economy, for pay staff. But we don't talk entirely that governments also na kumbra. For now, government they recruit plenty people, give them job, because the private sector is not as robust as it for be. The private sector a big percentage where they operate informally. Government they get revenues from them. So how governments gets for the pay people increase salaries where them the revenue base is small, then get other programs for one. Therefore, invest in capital projects. So governments in fiscal space really challenged. But again, that notwithstanding, the last budget speech, we know say there are increments, some increments in income for certain category, and even the previous year for certain other categories. And government also, they bring in employ more essential services staff, like the nurses, the teachers. That is a huge toll
on the wage bill.
But then, is it something that government should not do? That's a big question. Imagine how a private sector did. But again, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, with its agencies and other government institutions, don't they work assiduously, supported by development partners, for most of these informal businesses, let we bring them upstream, let them come on the formal stream. When they come on the formal stream, it's not only about government benefiting, then self the benefits, you know, from a lot of capacity development, access to markets, access to finance. So for now, this is the challenge. And now we all in this country for put hands together and ensure say we work and contribute to national development.
Mr. Charlie, based on it, you don't hear they say, do you really think the wage bill that ordinary Sierra Leonean, we know they earn each 2,000 leone a month, now actually they overboarding the wage bill, or do you think there are other sectors them where the government representative not being highlighted? Sorry, Mr. Abdullah not being highlighted.
Well, I just want to come back quick to within the last caller talk about how government or the increase salaries. We don't hear it from Mr. Abdullah. In the last two budgets, them actually they try for increased salaries. They actually increase salaries, but it happens say then in the way increasing salaries and the inflation be so they run away. You know, what we call hyperinflation. That it acts for you increase salary where they catch the rate at which inflation they happen. And no government no go make a strategy for if forget about inflation in this just for the go and chase inflation with increased salary. But I just want to make that correction. They say government try for increase salaries, but I think say the approach way now for handle inflation, that one na a better approach rather than just the chase salary. But then the caller make one other fine point where he say we say we know the see the inflation in reduced one, we know the feel and now we host them. It's not the only country this way they see prices in the drop around at the international markets. Let's say if even they buy rice $30 for 50 kg bag, it don't drop to $15 for 50 kg bag at the international market. Rightly so, that reduction will be reflected at the local level. But we see they don't ace price, they don't catch that price there. And like other costs them with it around the importation of that commodity, I let them drop. The businessman them, they know they drop them price again. Then just they keep and they see in the transport sector where they drop fuel price. You don't see them bike riders them or keke riders them. You don't see them, they adjust them price downwards. No, they do downwards. So that then one thing and the way they make you see the inflation they can down, but the price is not the kind of because that price where businessman they don't catch. Now they benefit more from that inflation day because would they pay more for what you were supposed to pay because the thing in price don't actually reduce.
Alright. So inside School Talk, we not just the focus on discussing problems. Then we want this night development communication radio, and we want to actually discuss solutions to them problem. Them the way at the end of the day will become policies we they recommend to government. So we want to discuss. We already discussed the problems them with the inside this inflation. Let we try for come with solutions them now. Let we start with Mr. Abdullah. Mr. Abdullah, you really feel say the ministry go truly stop rest or fuel prices them from going up, and or you really feel say government just for the manage the situation where the blow up happen? What do you feel say for the government in role? We think between the two.
So government sits like critical position because on one hand, I don't state this again for protect itself, but also one for keep businesses into business, and also let the welfare of consumers they maximize. You know, it is not the case that we get difference, or how do I put this? I mean, na delicate balance, but wetin governments supposed to do now for ensure say one, the enabling environment a day, and also there is also constant engagement. So whether now for let prices come down or otherwise, there is always an engagement process. But notwithstanding, I don't say when we dey manage this situation and enhancing transparency in the whole process, not only for the price come down. There are certain situations they were not killing our governments. I mean, now the control of government. Say prices change externally. You know, it definitely get for pass through. Again for pass through to domestic prices because there's some kind of imported inflation.
Although Mr. Charlie not agree with the idea, but you feel say subsidy not go stop that full pass through for happen on prices then?
Well, subsidies are a whole other topic where I'm not really one for delving into.
Okay.
But I mean, how do you get revenues? You get forget some revenues for let you subsidize something, let you absorb some of the cost, let not reach down.
Okay.
And we don't see how much governments challenged. So subsidy, I'm not in the position for talk about subsidies. And in my own view, I think we can left that one day for the right governments, people them. But governments get a neat balance, you know, sit and just say primarily the consumers, the final consumers, they are better off. But again, challenges can come where, we saw that when COVID been hit, you know, because of, global supply chain disruptions, you know, most foreign suppliers, them, you know, they cut down on production. So the small product units where the entire world, they of demand, you know, naturally, prices they may move, and then prices and they even freight cost. It translates cancer with economies that we see how, you know, and one or two other, factors compounded, and then we begin experience price hikes. We come to, then we are able to get the exchange rates controlled, you know, get them stabled, then it's cool down. Now the impact inflation, there is macroeconomic certainty, and now because that certainty they you know, everybody able for planning safe. I can deliberately say, okay, this week I spend 500,000 or 1 million news. But there was a time you buy something today now 100,000. 5 days later I don't go 120. That uncertainty day, now they kill an economy. It take you from 50 to 20 or less in few weeks. Macroeconomic uncertainty. But now that certainty did it. So government just need for sit down, make sure say they're in contact with everybody, and just do that.
In speaking on the pricing formula, them that ordinary market woman now we go the Congo market, we go on for adding your profit margin on top of the prices the more go down set. How you feel say that they go to affect the work with governments do? Do you think that's something governments can control?
So this was one very important thing we've been come up, because we've been designing this at the wholesale level, the import space. So it's where we designed this. At the retail level, it is highly competitive. And because it's highly competitive, we say, okay, we're not going to implement them at that level. Simply because, let's assume one street, you probably get 3, 4, 5 retailers. You know, I get me shop, this man gets in shop, Yusuf gets in shop. I say, okay, let mark me on by 30%, 30 leons. Another man mark me on 25. People just go to the Maui mark by 25. So we say, okay, at that level, we will not try to, implement the pricing formula. We left down to the forces of demand and supply, and to business, the business people themselves, based on a turnover. When you say you keep your price at, you mark by 30 or 40, and then you say they come down, then naturally, you get competitors. But at the imports level, the competitions, it's very small. A few players did it. You know, I don't want to say I don't want to use the word cartel or oligopoly, but a few sets of players in Didi. So that's one you can able for implement, engage them, you know. But at the retail level, it is really difficult. Notwithstanding, there was the cost component of transport, when I be one very critical component where we be able for negotiate, get some right, bring them inside the formula, and the retail space is competitive now. I think by cup don't drop, you know, by bag safe of course don't drop. That's how it works.
Essentially on market regulation and consumer protection, you feel say a fine for the government set up like this national price monitoring board, then we work with in connection with local councils them for track and regulate unfair prices them, price hikes them.
I think say na the wrong person you ask, because me really no believe in government controlling prices, or they put too much hand pan price business. All this thing what they talk about
monitor.
I know. Yeah, but still
unfair price.
Yes, but you monitor with an intention for let you ace red card in case somebody misbehave. So all are in a part of the price control business. Waiting we don't they miss, and now we get to priorities them right and put with energies in the right place. Waiting we don't waste time all of these years. Now the fact say salon just not they produce. We just not they produce. So if you not produce, you know they get wealthy, because you know they forget foreign exchange for make you even buy the goods them. If you not produce, you buy all kind of foolish thing. Now you buy, you spend money pan. So we're getting small leeway there, so where the price is stabilizing, macroeconomic environment they stabilize. Let me put effort pan production. I've been there now with the India man we studies Yabas business. I've been there from day one. We go work on the field. Oh, they see when they explain to we say na so get for do, na so get for do, na so get for do. Right now, then just get how many $1 million credit facility from IFC for expand, for show say it possible. If it possible with Yabas, it possible with rest. And if the figures where government they show, then right, they say right now we don't get 75% self-sufficiency per rest. So if you get them per rest, you get them per Yabas, you get them per other commodity then you know they begin to talk about all this monetary. We are just not producing. You know, we just you know, still them where predicate in this country also meat na luxury. Plenty households them now they eat chicken. For raise chicken or for raise goats na big thing, and we have not been producing. So for me, the all small institution them price monitoring mechanism this na complete waste of time. Right now, let's put effort and production. We'll produce, we cut down money we spend on foreign exchange, we'll be able to get food now for it, you know. So now we get special program for accelerated productivity.
Okay. Mr. Abdullah, do you agree with what Mr. Charlie they say that the need for law we get law we monitor prices them now caller family we actually don't close the phone lines for now. We're into another segment now. Sorry, Mr. Abdullah. You really feel saying a waste of time for that we monitor prices them? In case unfair price
Mr. Abdullah
hikes them go up.
not trade person, so not a waste of time for him.
Yeah, so we will. I mean, I don't think we need for set up any institution for that, or give anybody like a statutory mandate for do that one day. Even within the ministry, this is something we do. This is a part of routine work. So we look on a week, we get officers and waiting at the field. I mean, they collect data on prices and even stock of the essential commodities, and that is going. But we get a commission where they look into citizens the welfare. Well, maybe not welfare, but the value, the national consumer protection authority
Agency,
or agency. Yeah. So for instance, if now one bag grace you dey buy, you get the full one bag grace. You know, you get the rest another well. You know, it ensures say what you pay for, you get them. You know, so there is a network. We also get the standards bureau, which generally, I mean, are the technical units for the quality infrastructure. So, for instance, I then go tell you, say, okay, this rest now 50 kilogram, yes, now 50 kilogram, you know. So, these are the institutions where we think to say for work, right? For monitor consumers, you know, waiting them pay for them get them, the quality they want and get them. But I don't think I'm setting up a special unit. Statistics here, they collect data. We self get our own ways for collect data. So most times if we see prices one change, and when we they look at changes, most times it's not only domestic. We can get, I mean, an outside lens. So as we don't sense certain things, we don't begin to prepare our minds, see how we get discussion and conversations, engage necessary players, and know what we get for do. I think about a year or two ago, there was a time we'll get some issues with onions. The almost price of onions per bag almost 1,700 leones. Yeah. We reach a point, the minister self intervene, you know, coordinates with suppliers and other countries, and we get some stock. You know, few months after we come, we don't begin get we own yabas domestically. So I agree with that point that we need for, I mean, increased domestic production, and when once we get we own supply, we think most of the problems we encounter now, we go down subdue them. So for now, for instance, we get the steel factory where they produce we iron rod now. They don't drastically reduce importation of iron rod, and that's a savvy about 42 or close to $45 million annually of iron rod importation. Imagine that kind we ramp up on other commodities them, you know. So if forex go the sidom, we money go appreciate.
So you feel say it's fine for the government make like we make a national policy on reducing we dependence on imported goods them and then focus on local production? If that ain't like case, how we go about that?
Okay, so let me just take this opportunity for inform the public that the ministry currently they plan a manufacturing roundtable. We want for go back na the table, real time engagement and dialogue. Now we know it's in some of the critical issues them. Okay, we say we don't get 22% contribution of the manufacturing to GDP. Can we increase that? Yes. So we are working on having that session, and during that session we really get for sure what we produce currently inside salon domestically. But then we get for collect information again through dialogue. Now we know how we want for go and what we get for do for goodie. And know currently waiting are some of the problems then. So yes, there is the need for that, and these are some of the approaches that we'll get. Again, we don't go through with policies them. We national industrial policy, we be do review them. We special economic zones policy, we do improve, we be do review them. We get an agribusiness policy, and we are not only trying to, develop a manufacturing sector, but we also want to connect externally with external markets, so that as we grow within, we grow also outside. So the AFCFTA initiative day, when at the African Continental Free Trade Area, when I 1.4 billion markets, so we get for the trade among we safe. We get other preferential trade agreements, we get like the ETLS. Those are ways for connect with domestic producers them. So they go they produce for winner, then we they export. We they get more things they come in. We money go, we currency go stabilize. In fact, we go begin appreciate. And then when that day they happen, it translates to the lives of other people then. So we need as a country, follow we come and work together. But we encourage investments for come. The certainty we don't need that the macroeconomic environment, we just need for maintenance. We need for build. Things they happen. But we just need for open we eyes and get a free mind for say yes, things are happening.
It's family now the word that we don't get from Mr. Charlie and Mr. Abdullah. When I mean representatives them from both the civil society and then the government aspects them and then can provide them perspective on the inflation reduction and how it actually they reflect on the prices them inside the country. Me we bring the program to honor today. My name na Bimba Kamara. We the left now with international news them where they happen around the world, and one of we producers them that inget for presents this news to honor. So till next week, tata.
This week on We Economy on True Talk Radio 98.5 FM, we discuss prices are stable, but the Sierra Leone economy still feels broken. What's going on? Despite stable prices and easing inflation, many Sierra Leoneans still feel the economy is struggling. Recent Afrobarometer data shows that while citizens credit the government for controlling prices, most believe the country's economic direction is negative. This suggests a disconnect between official figures and everyday experiences. Join the discussion this Sunday at 7 p.m. as we feature Victor Abdullah, Deputy Director, Industrial Development, Head for Trade, Industrial Data and Statistics, Ministry of Trade and Industry, Charlie Hughes, Consultant Technical Advisor at Institute for Governance Reform. You can listen to this conversation by tuning in to True Talk Radio in Freetown, 98.5 FM, and on All Out Radio in Bo, 92.9 FM, on Amza Radio in Makeni, 96.9 FM, and Voice of the Eastern Kenema, 88.9 FM. True Talk, get the fact, get True Talk.
Good evening. This is Anne-Marie Ibiabo with your weekly international news summary. Let's take a look at some of the key stories making headlines around the world today. First to the UK, where political tensions are high. Sir Keir Starmer, Britain's new Prime Minister, is reportedly considering what some have called a Labour revenge reshuffle. This comes after internal dissent over welfare policies rocked his government in its early days. Mid-ranking ministers who are suspected of supporting last week's rebellion may now be facing the sack. The fallout was clear to see during Prime Minister's questions. Chancellor Rachel Reeves appeared emotional throughout this session, at one point in tears, as Tory leader Kemi Badenoch accused her of being, quote, a human shield for the Prime Minister's incompetence. Starmer avoided answering whether Reeves will remain in post until the next election, raising even more questions about the government's stability just weeks after coming to power.
Proud, Mr. Speaker, that in the first year of a Labour government we got free school meals, breakfast clubs, childcare, got £15 billion invested in transport in the North and the Midlands. We're cutting regulation, planning and infrastructure is pounding forward.
Next to the Middle East, where international concern is growing over events in Gaza. New evidence suggests the Israeli military used a 500-pound or 230-kilogram bomb in an airstrike on a crowded beachfront cafe earlier this week. The strike killed dozens, including children and elderly civilians. Fragments of the US-made Mk-82 bomb were found at the scene by reporters and ordnance experts. International law specialists have said that the use of such powerful weapons in a civilian area, knowing the risk, could amount to a war crime. The attack has drawn condemnation from human rights groups and further fueled debate over the conduct of Israel's military campaign in Gaza.
Israeli military deployed a 500-pound bomb in a strike on a crowded Gaza beachfront cafe on Monday, according to an investigation by The Guardian. Now, the international law experts believe that the deployment of such ammunition in an area with numerous civilians, including children, women and elderly people, may amount to a war crime. The report, quoting ordnance experts, claim that the fragments from the Al-Baqa cafe blast, photographed by The Guardian, were parts of a US-made 500-pound Mk-82 bomb used in numerous military campaigns. Now, the massive crater created by the explosion has been cited as further proof of the deployment of a powerful bomb like the Mk-82. Founded almost 40 years ago, the Al-Baqa cafe was a popular destination for families and young people in Gaza City. The attack on the cafe resulted in 24 to 36 deaths and dozens of injuries.
We now turn to a major infrastructure failure in the UK that has left many asking how this was allowed to happen. A fire at an electrical substation near Heathrow Airport shut down Britain's busiest airport for almost 20 hours back in March. Now, a new report has revealed that caused the fire had been identified as far back as 2018, 7 years ago. Engineers detected moisture in one of the substation's critical electrical components, but it seems no action was taken. The energy regulator, Ofgem, has launched an investigation and promised to hold those responsible to account. There are now fears that other key infrastructure sites could be at risk because of gaps in oversight.
The fire that cut the power that shut down Heathrow, that affected 1,300 flights carrying nearly 300,000 passengers around the world, was entirely preventable. The report into the outage at National Grid's North Hyde substation found that moisture build-up that led to a catastrophic transformer failure was picked up 7 years previously and not acted on.
When they identified the moisture levels, which they did, and great that those were identified as part of regular testing, what got missed then was the action to take that out of service and replace it. They didn't pick up then in later cycles that these high moisture readings were not sort of acted upon at that point in time.
Finally, to the United States, where tragedy has struck the firefighting community. In Idaho, 2 firefighters have been killed, and another is fighting for his life after a suspected sniper attack. Authorities believe that the gunman, named as Wes Rowley, started a wildfire deliberately in order to lure firefighters into an ambush. The attack has shocked the region. The suspect was found dead at the scene alongside a firearm. The Kootenai County Sheriff described it as a total ambush. The firefighters, he said, did not have a chance.
Northern Idaho. So police say a man deliberately set a wildfire with the intention of ambushing first responders, an ambush with bullets. In the end, 2 firefighters lost their lives, another firefighter wounded. That suspect has now been identified. This happening in the Idaho city of Coeur d'Alene, or just away from the city of Coeur d'Alene. In fact, we're now getting our hands on what it sounded like, those critical moments for help from Central Dispatch. Listen.
They are reporting a brush fire going northeast.
Some law enforcement right now, there's an active shooter zone. Everybody shot up here. Law enforcement, code 3 now up here. Another Coeur d'Alene firefighter down. Needs help immediately. We need law enforcement immediately.
Unimaginable. CBS News reporter Andres Gutierrez reports from that area. Andres, we know firefighters in these United States, when wildfires are more common, they're a part of the heartbeat of what it is to be an American hero. So many of our hearts sunk when we saw this story break yesterday. What do we know about the shooter? What do we know about the victims?
Well, we'll start with the shooter, Reed. Right now, there are 2 law enforcement sources that are telling CBS News that the shooter in this case is 20-year-old Wes Rowley. They believe that he came out here yesterday, began a brush fire as a way to lure these firefighters up here on Canfield Mountain. As you could see, heavily wooded, high slopes. He ended up taking a sniper's position. These firefighters ended up arriving as they would assess the situation. Within 20 minutes of them doing so here on the scene, that's when the fire began. As you heard there in the introduction, it's just a chaotic scene. Those firefighters taking cover, others being wounded, 2 of them dying here on scene, being transported, officially being pronounced at the hospital, but they succumbed to the injuries out here. They tried their best but couldn't at the hospital. A 3rd one underwent underwent surgery, and he's still, though, fighting for his life as we speak. Then the search for the suspect began, and now let me just tell you, it was pretty chaotic, not only for those firefighters, but for law enforcement trying to find this person. Right. You imagine 1:30 in the afternoon, pretty heavily wooded area, hikers out here, pretty popular hiking destination. And so besides flooding the area with law enforcement, they ended up resorting to technology. Everyone carries one of these, and this is tracking your position at all times. And so they ended up figuring out that there was a cell phone that had not moved from a certain location near the shooting as of 3:26 yesterday afternoon. And then at 7 o'clock, the police sent over a chopper with a sniper on board, and they saw the body of this 20-year-old, a rifle right next to him. The fire was moving in quickly, and so they ended up hoisting him onto the helicopter and taking him out of the scene there, because obviously they want to figure out whether he shot himself or if the exchange and gunfire that they initiated earlier in the afternoon was what took his life. That's still being determined. A medical examiner will eventually reveal that information. And then hearts are really heavy here. This is a community that backs the first responders. There was hundreds of people ended up coming out as they transported the bodies of those firefighters from the hospital here in Coeur d'Alene out to Spokane, where the ME is located. And so you had hundreds lining Interstate I-90 to show that support. And so heavy hearts are out here, but also there is still the containment efforts that are taking place. This fire, as of last night, had burned at least 20 acres. It took firefighters at least 5 hours to even get to the scene, because obviously the scene wasn't secure. Eventually, when they determined that the suspect was dead, they were able to start sending in the first wave of crews, and a fresh wave has started up the hill here into the mountainous area. We saw not only is it just your regular firefighters, there are also private firefighters, the so-called Graybacks, that are a organization based here in the Pacific Northwest. They are aiding the firefighters with this efforts, because you can imagine right now the local fire department, they're grieving. I can't imagine them being on the front line as they're trying to contain this fire, and also mourning their fellow brother.
Unimaginable, hurting the helpers while they're up on that mountain. And then
these are just some of the stories shaping our world this week. Stay tuned to True Talk for more updates and in-depth discussions on the issues that matter. I am Anne-Marie Ibiabo. Thanks for listening.
This week on We Economy on True Talk Radio 98.5 FM, we discuss prices are stable, but the Sierra Leone economy still feels broken. What's going on? Despite stable prices and easing inflation, many Sierra Leoneans still feel the economy is struggling. Recent Afrobarometer data shows that while citizens credit the government for controlling prices, most believe the country's economic direction is negative. This suggests a disconnect between official figures and everyday experiences. Join the discussion this Sunday at 7 p.m. as we feature Victor Abdullahi, Deputy Director, Industrial Development, Head for Trade, Industrial Data and Statistics, Ministry of Trade and Industry; Charlie Hughes, Consultant Technical Advisor at Institute for Governance Reform. You can listen to this conversation by tuning in to True Talk Radio in Freetown, 98.5 FM, and on All Out Radio in Bo, 92.9 FM, on Amza Radio in Makeni, 96.9 FM, and Voice of the East in Kenema, 88.9 FM. True Talk, get the fact, get True Talk.